This is how you win. You pick these champions and get to even footing in a late game.
And if you asked 10 different people, who's the most important player on Jin Air this game, I think you get different answers, Atlas, but to me, the answer is clear. It's Malra. It was really underplayed, and finally Korea has agreed with me. So yesterday, in a loss, nice little tech choice, go Halo Blade Sejuani to stop it just being a Schadenfreude moment for the Sejuani. But now we get the Olaf matchup, another one that Trundle was preferred into. So it's not a Trundle meta, it's a meta where Trundle is very viable.
And remember, I mean, the reason why Olaf was so incredibly strong was because he ate through the jungle so quickly, and now with the Cinderhulk buffs that you were illustrating yesterday, Trundle can keep up in that regard much better. See how it goes. Get onto the Rift. Oh, so sad. Jin Air fans, a little bit uncoordinated here, but I'm sure they'll make up for it in game number 2. Gen G fans, of course, ludicrously excited as Malrung takes a little while to make it out of base. He's your classic solo queue jungler that went to the bathroom in the loading screen.
Looking at any interesting starts here in terms of runes and all that jazz. Defensive ward top side from Jin Air, so they want to spot any deep vision coming in. Also, I like the defensive ward there because you can place it early enough that there's no chance scouting wards go onto your red buff, and you won't spot them when they come in. So I think important to do that. Malrung wants to get a good start here. Definitely way stronger at level 2. It's around level 3 where Trundle can actually start doing his annoying thing when he has access to all his abilities. And gank pressure, Olaf can gank, loves assists in the ganking, but if you are far up enough to lane the top lane, he can even gank for a Vladimir and find inroads.
And Peanut's actually gone for Conqueror here. No press the attack, which is what we've seen almost every time with these Trundles. So wanting to make sure that the extended skirmishes against Malrung are going to be working out.
Which does hurt him in the level 3 1v1. Because press the attack is where Trundle just does so many things against Olaf or whoever he's doing against, that if you just add the burden of, well, I got this annoying pillar behind me, I have press the attack buff on me, I've lost my damage from the chomp, and I have attack speed and healing going on. Like, there's so much going on in an early Trundle skirmish that it usually wins out big. Speaking of winning out big, that's a really poor lane trade taken by Kellen, and now he's going to have to be chugging his potions nice and early.
You miss that light binding, you are in a hell of a lot of trouble, is basically what we learnt just there, and he skilled that one level 1, and that means that Jin Air have given up on the laning phase until level 2 has been found. So finally, does have that Q button back off cooldown, but you can see Root has to give up CS, and that's what this Gen G bottom lane does. It wins.
And you have to think, what does this Gen G draft do? Well, I think it's really big around post level 6 in the top lane, ulting bot, and if any flashes are down, well, a pillar's behind you, the cannon barrage on top of you, and then Zyra can try to roam first, get that turret as fast as possible. So I think it will be bot lane focus here, given that you need a lot more coordination with a Trundle to pull off the normal ganks that are much easier for other junglers to do.
We'll see whether Jin Air can make up for it elsewhere on the map. At the moment, you can see Cubase having a great time towards the top side of the map. Of course, Vladimir's not going to be able to put too much pressure. I was going to mention earlier on, it is the phase dive taken here by Linderung instead of the Unsealed Spellbook that we've seen so much of here in Korea for the Vladimir.
The choice here is very much because of the matchup. Against GP, he's going to try to disengage you with the barrel slow when you're going for an all-in. So it's just to keep your all-in options there. A lot of turret dive potential onto a GP, especially if there's no Sterix in the build. So the phase rush here, especially given the matchup and all the annoying slows like the pillar as the game goes on, I think phase rush is categorically the correct choice given Gen G's life.
Well, this is also a pretty good choice as Kellen's going to go down very low. Aftershock, oh no, you are dead, my friend. First blood going over to Ruler, and Jin Air fans are real terrified now.
Just a straight-up 2v2 victory for Gen G. Kellen misplaying the laning plays on Lux. You'll see this in solo queue because everyone's playing the Aftershock Lux for the first time and trying to rank up with it given its success around the world, but Kellen just really misjudges his own tankiness, doesn't exhaust, doesn't have a life.
Yep. And now Root has not a hope to try and get anything done in this lane as Ruler is going to go back. It's going to be BF sword. He's double the CS. This is absolutely terrifying.
Here we go.
Malrung makes his way up, but that ward just about to time out. He's going to get all the value it needed. And of course, it's not going to be about BF sword, guys, but he's going S3 to start things off, so no need for that one.
So Kellen's full health, as you noticed, but the moment he gets knocked up, he just realizes too late that he's super dead. The Aftershock comes in when he's around 200 health, so extra resist, 70 resist in the laning phase not going to be enough when you're that low. Well played by Gen G, but honestly, too easy.
Yeah. And that also just ruins the Jin Air game plan here as well, because they needed that bottom lane to stay relatively even and just try and farm things out so they can focus elsewhere. That is definitely not going to be an option now, because that lane is about as on fire as it can be.
And it really changes things, and coaches get so frustrated in games like this, because remember when we had Fiora versus Aatrox, and Aatrox just straight up won at every moment?
Yeah.
Suddenly the draft looks a bit silly. The Lux is able to outrange Zyra Rakan, assuming you don't take terrible trades super early in the lane phase. She wants level 3, she wants access to all her abilities. But maybe the lane was decided in terms of Ruler being able to aggressively freeze tank minions and keep it on his side, the kill already being put down. It's very hard for Lux to reset a lane state, even though she has some push and she has good trading options. She's so squishy that the first summoner being down means she can just never walk up again, and this priority support you drafted for and prized might actually be one of the reasons your draft doesn't come together.
Yep, and now it makes this play from Peanut even easier as Kellen, no flash, no Aftershock anymore. Cannon Barrage goes down. We're looking for more kills as Peanut jumps all the way on top of Rune. Kellen lasts a very long time though as Light Binding. Lucent Singularity is going to do a fair bit of damage. Morong turns it around onto Peanut as Root wants to kill. He's not going to get it. The Olaf picks that one up. And that just went all the way the wrong way for Jin Air.
Peanut so greedy, looking for a second kill. Kellen had walked towards the turret, and Genji was slowly trying to pass the kill to Ruler. That's why Kellen lived for so long.
Yeah.
But then Peanut was just alone, and it's Olaf. We know what Olaf does in a long lane. You don't get away from that. Very curious there. I want to see the replay because I was focused on the bottom side of the screen here for the kill. Peanut comes in and it's perfect. It's level 3 Kellen. Aftershock, doesn't matter. Cannon Barrage. We knew there'd be a bot lane focus. Peanut flashes for the chomp slow onto Root and then dies Alice. So it's very peculiar on the back end. It's not like life is going to back you up and do any relevant damage.
And also, Ruler almost died to minions while that was all going on as well. He took a long time to take down the Lux. Thanks very much, Aftershock, says Kellen. And that meant that the Xayah just wasn't there, and that's where the money was. You know, he'd actually gone for a shot. That is why Peanut was able to be so aggressive, but as it turns out, he wasn't.
These are the comms I need to hear. These are the comms I need to understand, because something was fundamentally off there for Gen G, because the gank timing was perfect,
yeah,
but the execution so clearly left a lot to be desired.
Well, he's going to come back and try it one more time. If at first you don't succeed, obviously, try again.
You always want an Aftershock user when you have Trundle, because you want to steal away those stats. It's so amusing that it's Lux.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lux,
he does have the Subjugate available. Is okay. That's a great life binding onto Life and Peanut. And that's exactly what Kellen needs to be doing to avoid these bad trades.
Now, I want to see Malrong go top side and try to dive Cuvée, because bot lane, again and again and again, is going to be Genji's focus. And it doesn't feel good to let 2-0 Ruler get more and more control, but I think resetting this against GPO, against all the other tools from Genji, it's kind of a fool's errand at this point. There'll also be a time with a TP advantage for Kuzan, as there's no TP on Grace. You can dive GP. He's only got a Sheen. He doesn't have a stopwatch. Olaf and Vlad. It's pretty straightforward to dive here, right?
Yeah.
Hemoplay comes in, hit a couple of axes, it should be fine. But if you just play everything to try to counter gank as Olaf, I think that's just really asking for the game to be snowballed out of control.
Well, right now, Genji are in control. 600 gold is going to be the lead. Cuvée underneath this turret. It's actually very comfortable against Linderung, but it's a weird matchup. Vladimir does like to sit at around half health throughout the majority of the laning phase. Kuzan gets knocked up, but as we check in on the mid lane, it's only a little bit of a lead here for Grace at the moment, and you'd expect that with the Ignite being on the Aatrox and having a little bit more range and control in this lane.
Walks up, wants to control bot side the entire game, and honestly with the priority it's very hard to stick any vision on the bot side of the map. Wait and see if Malrong will kind of queue in with our points and try to become a top side berserker. He can get a top side gank. The Rift Herald is set up to be a Jin Air objective, but he ends up counter ganking because of Root's frustration at how the 2v2 is going. I really feel like they won't have any inroads paying off from that.
I really like this from Gen G, though. They're able to take the Rift Scuttler down here towards the bottom side. Cannon Barrage was used to take the pressure off top side of the map. Malrung is going to be able to go in, steal away a blue buff, but information is given immediately over to Gen G with the smart warding, and that means this Dragon's going to be able to go down as well. Gen G with complete and utter control of the bottom side of the map, which is exactly what they should have, but they're at least able to get objectives around it as well.
Grace is walking up, very, very risky. He has his summoners up, but as we've noted a few times, maybe he's just spotting for a Lux, but she doesn't even have ult Axe, so she's not going to be stealing that one.
Yeah, Grace was trying to work out exactly where to go there as Peanut sidesteps the life binding nicely. Life gets the heck out of there. It looks like Gen G were happy just to grab that Cloud Drake and then move on out.
It just feels like all Jin were ever going to do was to confirm that the Drake died, but you got a global notification for that one. There was no way they were realistically going to force anything. Too far behind, I feel like, on the bottom side. So, again, not seeing them play top side at all. They're trying to, I guess, stem the bleeding when it comes to bot side advantage. It's only a 10 CS lead, so the kills are the reason there's that 150 gold bounty onto the Xayah. Cuve roaming around. He's got no business being top side. I just feel like Cuve understanding like, okay, I can't be in lane. I'll roam around, see what I can do. Is understanding what strong and weak side of the map is. And Jin just second showing up to a Drake that's being started seem to be misunderstanding what the state of the map is.
Yeah, and also just wasting time, right? So they could have been up towards the top side, getting vision around that Rift Herald, but you can see on both sides of the map, it's extraordinarily dark. Shelly, not the focus here, as it is going to be Cuve heading down to get deeper vision that Linderung was just able to put down. Linderung does have some great items, though, at this point in the game. So you can see now is when he's feeling more comfortable in this matchup.
But Cuve has, he has Hexdrinker, which means he feels strong enough that he doesn't have to just buy Trinity Force so he has something by the time the game is up in the balance. They're winning, so he can afford to go for an incremental item and slow down his Trinity Force completion. So now the turret dive on him is more tricky for the Vladimir and the Olaf to pull off. But speaking of items, something I wanted to make mention of, you mentioned it earlier, the Cinderhulk changes.
Yeah.
It frees Peanut from going Tiamat on a jungler whose jungle clear is hurt by being a fiercely single target champion. Because actually, that buff is big on a champion like Trundle, who didn't have AoE clear, compared to a champion like Olaf, who already had a fast enough clear that extra Barmy's damage didn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. Jin are going to be able to take Shelly, though. Vision is being denied with that control ward, and you saw Root just give up a plate on the bottom side of the map because full vision was available for Gen G of where the Jin players were. No surprise that Shelly was going to go down, but you can see trade for power, bottom side for top side. Linderung's going to get a huge benefit from Shelly being deployed up there, and it looks like Grace is going to come down and protect the taking of the outer turret bottom side for Jin.
The more members that come up, the more likely Sivir can come in, press WQ, and at least get most of the minions out of a wave. So there is always a cost to these players. Let's see who wins this race, because it's one plate left on top and bot turret.
Yeah, it looks like bottom lane is actually going to get saved by Jin. Top lane outer turret is going to go down all too easily, and the minion wave gets wiped out by Root. Still 2 plates available there as we're looking to see whether Shelly can get an extra charge. Juve needs to shoot her in the back instead of the front.
Close to ideal. You always want to give solo gold to your scaling carry, but I think giving shared gold to a warrior Olaf, who really does need his items as fast as possible, otherwise the fall-off period is even more severe, it's actually pretty good, and it's actually 1.5 plates, so a nice bit of stalling here by Jin Greenwins on the bot side, and just the reality of the Rift Herald vertical jungle.
Yeah. And as we move into 15 minutes into the game, it's really interesting that we are getting pretty much exactly what we were predicting, right? Gen G very strong through bottom side of the map, and Jin able to make plays elsewhere to get themselves into relevance. This wasn't the Jin that we were watching in spring, though, so it's actually really good to see that Jin are actually able to answer plays made by their opposition elsewhere on the map to stay in touching distance of the gold, as you can see at the top of the screen.
I mean, Jin's spring was defined by their fumbles, inaction or just wrong action. Whereas here, yes, we took exception to how they played around the Drake that Gen G took on the weak side of the map, but otherwise, they've pretty much followed the correct objectives, and they're 700 gold behind when they have Vladimir Sivir, Aatrox, I mean, they're very confident in what their scaling represents this game. So I think the game is just very finely poised, and it's going to be on Gen G using their outnumber potential. They have a teleport advantage in mid, they have the cannon barrage in top. They can be places, and you can punish a repeat of Jin Air contesting the wrong objective. But if you miss your windows, if it's just farm, 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 which a lot of Gen G games do fall into, I think Jin Air looks at this and says, hey, I think we're ready for this.
Yeah, and also Jin Air can look at a Baron and say, we'll start this, we'll tank it, and then we'll turn at any point and kill you with the composition we put together.
So what does a big mistake from Jin Air look like? Fighting anywhere the Xayah is. Xayah has an Essence Reaver advantage, and it's Essence Reaver carries right now. The tier 1s, as we know, Sivir and Xayah right up there. And even the Executioner's calling on top to try to brawl against the healing. There's a lot of healing over the course of Jin Air. So I thought you really shout out for this early Executioner's calling. It's a lot of team value here with this much heal.
However, not a lot of value when Ruler loses half of his health bar. If they are going to start a fight, it might mean an early Feather Storm as Root once again looking for a Boomerang Blade. Jin Air now stacked as 5. This is how they want to be, but maybe it's too early to actually get any value as the Mountain Drake is going to get started off. Ruler over to the side. Gen G looking for a pincer. Hemoplague available from Kuzan. As On the Hunt is thrown down. Ruler immediately has to use the Feather Storm. He's exhausted. He's trying to get protected, but it's not going to be enough. But in the back line, Jin Air just can't get anything done. Grace, World Ender available, but I just don't think it's going to be enough. Root is going to get taken down under the turret. They'll take the turret there as well as Gen G smash the team fight.
And unfortunately, they don't heed otherwise. They're caught. Life's Engage was popping off on the bot side of the screen while they were also losing on the top side. Gen G pincered them to death, and sadly for Jin Air, we've seen this story before.
Yeah, Life was able to engage and disengage and peel at the same time. So hats off to Life's Rakan play. Thought that Rakan might be a champion that we'd be seeing less of, given the fact that even Xayah was showing up with things like the Thresh, but Life reminding us that Rakan's still pretty good at getting fights started.
What is it with it in week 2 of teams scaling better than they should have in the early game and then fighting before they're ready to? Sadly, we see it from Jin Air. Watch Life on the bottom side. He's posturing. At this point, like, okay, this is over. Life does the kind of now you see me, now you don't. And look at this re-engage. It's insanely massive on the top side. Kellen dies an afterthought. He wants to be in the backside quarterbacking.
Yeah.
As this Lux, not in the middle of combat. There's no way for her to get out. This is a Lux, right? There's just no... she's not mobile. That's just not something she offers. So they're brawled down from here, shot where they stand. Listen to Ruler, and Ruler had all the gold. He was primed to carry. They couldn't shut him down. And suddenly, 3-1 and 3 may have died, but no worries.
And even Cuve's having a great time after this as well. 2-0 and 4. Almost every single kill he's been a part of, given the fact that he does have that Cannon Barrage available, and he's navigated this early game extraordinarily well.
Just one of those games where, when I'm doing a review and a team is ahead that I know loses the game, I'm always like, wait, what does losing the game from here look like?
How did this happen?
How did this happen? And that was one where we said, well, they team fight before they're ready, and it happened. And I think that's what more pro players, at least one player on a team, whoever considers himself the captain or, has the most experience, should be thinking, all right, this seems to be going well. Where are the spots where we might trip up? And I feel like Jin Air just haven't been able to stabilize in scenarios where some of our more veteran teams have, over the many metas that League of Legends has gone through, found their stabilizing points and not overfought for, of all things, just a Mountain Drake.
Yeah. Gen G were able to steal that one away as well. Insult added to injury. Grace up towards the top side, looking to try and defend this half-health outer turret. Pillar goes down, the turret taking a lot of damage as Life and Ruler will show up. Life not going to be able to find the Gleaming Quill, but is able to battle dance his way out of Lucent Singularity and Light Binding.
Build hasn't changed for the Trundle. It's usually a Kindle Gem into the Stone Plate was the last build we saw. We're thinking back to Tarzan, his dominant streak in 2018 summer. Fun fact, Tarzan still career undefeated on Trundle, 12-0 on that pick. So I'm sure he's watching this with at least some interest because the Trundle meta may not be upon us, but it may not be that far away.
I mean, they could just leave up this Sejuani work, right? It's a little bit difficult when you're Tarzan, though, and you're one of the best Sejuani players in the LCK, because often that just gets banned by your opponent. However, they do have answers to that now as well. Talking about Griffin, though, is not what we're supposed to do in a Jin Air versus Gen G match, and Jin Air is still trying to find that opportunity to make their way back. I do want to talk about the last fight. They did catastrophically lose it, and it was due to the fact that Life had that brilliant disengage / engage at the same time and got things done. However, I like the idea from Jin Air to fight as they're grouped up as 5 with this composition that they have.
But, see, where they tripped was they're like, okay, well, I mean, they're on 2 sides of us. We'll just get in there. Sivir, right?
Yeah.
But the damage numbers aren't there because obviously Vlad, Sivir really need that gold. Also, even with movement speed, Lux was just pincered because when they all ran down, Lux was the slowest person to join. So they just killed the Lux in the front line, and then support's already dead. You don't actually confirm those kills. Summoners were up on everyone to start the fight. I get what you're saying, and there is definitely a time where you have to pull the trigger as a teamfight comp and say, all right, they're out of position, let's go. Just because you're more ahead or had a better earlier game than possible doesn't actually mean you have to pull the trigger when you see it. Wait for those items and then pull it. Oh, you just got their Essence Reaver now.
Yeah. I'm just seeing proactive play from Jin Air, and I'm feeling good about it. That's where my head's at. Hopefully it doesn't put them off making aggressive plays in the future. See, Ruler has completed his rapid fire cannon, and we'll be looking for his Infinity Edge most likely as the next item. Mortal Reminder probably not going to be completed for the next little while. Walking out
to the turret here. Not the best siege by any means for Gen G, but Jin Air have to all in. We won't see that yet.
Yep, and Root does have at least a lot of wave clear. So he's able to at least get rid of those minions. 50 seconds on the next Cloud Drake, probably not going to be a huge priority, but 20 minutes has ticked over. Baron is now available. Yeah, exactly. That's a fantastic ultimate as well as Ruler in a little bit of trouble.
He's solo their siege because he has rapid fire cannon, so losing more than half his health is definitely not a trivial thing at all. Nice play there from Kellen. He needed a bit of a turn of fortune after the laning phase.
Yeah, precisely. Kellen has had some moments, but more of them bad than good so far this game. There was a light binding towards the bottom side that was beautiful,
disengage.
Though. Yeah, very nicely done.
And Linderon's getting there. He's going to have Spellbinder second. He's going to go for the get into a team fight side of things alongside the phase rush. Right now, continuing that lane assignment against GP, but GP's big enough that actually the solo kill potential that should be there is not there. Grace skips over the wall. Wave clear, wave clear, wave clear. Right now, that means both sides get farm, and for Jin Air, you'll take it.
Yeah. Although the 1-3-1 is actually working pretty effectively here for Gen G. Double teleport is available from Cubey and Kuzan. Cubey doesn't even need to use it because Cannon Barrage is a thing. And Gen G happy to set up the siege. I feel like if Jin Air don't make a move, then if this continues, they're just going to lose.
I think there's an understandable thought there, but the kind of good news thing is that if the extra TP involves specifically a GP, like he's not a champion to respect as influencing a fight with his TP timing,
I guess so.
It would really require him to be on the other side of the map and then make it a 5v4 that the Aatrox can't get to. Which, yes, can be coordinated, can be set up. I think for now, even the TP advantage is not really going to be yielding fruit imminently. The control ward line from the side of Gen G around top side of Baron buff is going to potentially yield a lot of fruit, but smartly, unless they can draw out Linderong's teleport, actually getting the outnumber is quite hard.
See whether they can actually do that, as right now Cubey's looking for a 1v1. It's going to be turned, though, as Linderong throws out the Hemo Plague, but now that's a big button that they're not going to have access to, and Cubey doesn't even take really any damage at all. For that situation, Executioner's Calling actually getting a hell of a lot of value.
The Executioner's Calling, Hexdrink is kind of the bonus from never being dived, never being targeted. He's in a very strong spot. In the mid lane, they could have used Cannon Barrage to guarantee this. Don't even need it.
Yeah, Final Spark's going to come out. Does a lot of damage, but gets spell shielded. And not actually going to do anything at all. Gen G move on over, but they do manage to take down that outer turret that they were looking for. Game plan is still working out here for Gen G.
Deceptively varied bucket of ultimates for Sylas to steal, because he actually has multiple utility ults. He has Let's Be Unkillable. He has Let's Not Be able to be CC'd. He has the Move Quick button, but he also has burst and teamfight damage as well. So actually, for every scenario, it feels like Mr. Fix-It Kuzan should be ready to go.
We'll see whether he can do his best summon impression, use as many of them as possible. See, Gen G are thinking about this Baron buff, but haven't found a safe opportunity to take it. Root is able to get his red buff.
So when is Gen G being too slow? I think is something that people are going to have to ask, and a question that we've mused on for years, Atlas, over in the LCK. I think we're starting to push into territory where interesting things can happen. I think Gen G need to use all their control wards to mean something. If you have 5 control wards in Baron and never start Baron, you actually just wasted gold. That's the part where cloth armor is way better. However, if you have 5 control wards, eventually draw Linderong's teleport and then can use your TP advantage, you're golden, baby. You played perfectly. So they need to find a way to make Linderong teleport, and when you already have Vision Supremacy Atlas around Baron, now's the time where we start the countdown. If we had the sand clock, we're tipping it over.
Yeah. Turn the hourglass.
Yep.
I think is definitely a good idea. As Peanut, he heard you, Papa Smithy. Going to at least put down the icy ground to try and move quicker.
So they got a tank, right?
Yeah.
Trundle's nothing if not a tank in this game, so they can actually bait Baron really easily and healthily because the turn for Trundle is just fine. He can tank it away.
Juve does have a control ward here, steals himself a blue buff, but is not providing any extra pressure on this map. Jin Air just trying to get as forward vision as they can possibly find as the Baron has been started.
All right, we're doing it. We're doing it now. Lots of ways for Lux to check. She's already used her E. All right, blue trinket down. We pull away. All right, that's a blue trinket.
Yep.
That's one cooldown down. And if Kellen eventually has to check with things like ult and E, if you draw those cooldowns and just kill Kellen when they're back up, that's the way you get that TP, and that's the way Jin Air are stretched so far across the map that they're going to inevitably snap.
But is now an opportunity for Jin Air to start a fight. You've got a Rabbidan's Death Cap coming in before the Spellbinder was actually completed there from Linderong. A big power spike, Infinity Edge there as well. You've got a couple of Black Cleavers, you've got item completions. Is this a time where Jin Air can try and force that 5v5?
See, there's 2 questions in that question. There's, is this the item timings where Jin Air wants to fight? Absolutely. But given they have no deep vision at all, what does the start of the fight look like? Because Sivir presses ult, they can't just keep chasing her forever. They don't have the outer mid lane turret. They actually have no force with the map state as it is. So they don't control enough. And that's, yes, lovely flank options, but Linderong gets the wrong TP, and then we have the same problem we're talking about. And right now, the right TP is going to be a defensive one. He doesn't have any offensive wards. So
yeah,
for your questions, a yes and no kind of situation going on here. So
sounds all like bad news for Jin Air, though.
Well,
5,000 gold. I mean, the gold lead is slowly extending, but it's not extending in a way that we'd expect from some of our other more proactive teams in the LCK. 5,000 gold is nothing to scoff at, but it's certainly not game over here for Jin Air.
Well, good news. No one came to this game for proactive plays. They came for memes, Atlas, and they came for other things. So we're the entertainment here. We just want to give you guys the game state so you understand what to be looking for. Something I always love to do as a caster is, you know, sometimes when League started back in Season 2, it's how do you play these champions better in your own games? Nowadays, 10 years into the story, we can talk about how can you enjoy these pro games more. It's something that we always love to talk about. With Gen G and Jin Air, it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. But
speaking of being damned, Grace in trouble as Life once again goes for another beautiful engage. Ruler obliterates the Aatrox. Mountain Drake will be the reward here for Gen G, but that pick was stunning, and this Rakan is looking so good today, Papa.
Sometimes life smacks you in the face. I've got a really bad ankle right now. I should know. And sometimes it's Rakan, who so far this game has been able to find the catch a couple of times. Grace dies instantly, and now it's a battle.
Oh, Grand Entrance was almost positioned beautifully as Kuzan picks up a Hemo Plague. Linderong throws down his own, gets all of his health back, but he's not going to be able to get his inner turret back on the bottom side of the map. Gen G might be able to transition into even more vision around this Baron buff, and once again, another bait.
Oh, the stifling Atlas, oh, those lull state moments. Someone always gets a bit too hasty, and that someone was Grace. This is not a pop to my ult, didn't get a reset, didn't even get to pop his ult, just died straight up to the Rakan engage. The Baron buff they've been desperately trying to fight for by hook or by crook. Seems like it should be on the menu next. It's double mountain now. Make that play, pull that trigger once more.
Please pull that trigger, Gen G. I think that that's what we're waiting for before we believe in Gen G again. Peanuts pillars have been great, but life has just been way better. Life's good, Papa Smithy. Life is good.
I'm happy you finally got there. Come on, we have to use the obvious pun when he's playing this
well. We use it every single time,
we don't.
That's the problem. That's why we have to move away from it.
Have we really used it in kind of cool ways? Because life kind of just meandered next to Ruler and had an okay rookie split. We never really had the moments where you could talk about how good life is. It was always like, well, life sucks right now. Yeah. Well, he didn't actually say that. That's actually too rude, but it's kind of funny in some ways.
Yeah.
It's the one time where we're not BMing. Because we just say, oh no, we're using it in the other context.
Yeah, finally, they're actually winning now, and things are actually looking good.
We're kind of casters that push the envelope involving language sometimes, so we need the windows of like, no, we didn't know that was the secondary meaning.
We're
Had
pleading
no idea.
ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's 2 meanings to that? Weird.
No, I didn't know that. No. Innocent until proven guilty, Papa Smithy, so you just can't prove that we didn't have absolutely no idea what we were talking
Well, when
about.
you got Sivir, Vladimir, and Aatrox, the victory's only proven when the Nexus explodes. So let's see Gen G. They didn't get that Baron Atlas. They're pushing anyway.
Exactly. The siege seems to be working, even with a low-range AD carry. Ruler loses a bit of his health bar, but otherwise he's not too worried. And they're able to transition towards the top side. They're playing like they have a Baron buff, but they don't have a Baron buff. And that's very scary for
And
Jin Air.
it just feels like they should be getting the Baron.
Yeah.
Like, if they break the base and then Sivir ricochets people to death, that's actually just really bad.
Yeah.
Then you just screwed everything up.
Imagine if they had a Baron buff.
All right, what's left? So Blue Trinket on cooldown. It was just cleared, I believe, in the pit. Now, can Lux get near? So far, no. Now, Lux can ult. Lux should ult now.
Well, Grace is trying to look for his way in here as On the Hunt has been popped. Cube going down relatively low. Root was free hitting for a long time. Final Spark doing huge damage. GP picks up the double. 3 kills go down, and Gen G are just too far ahead. Linderong.
He teleported to a flank Atlas. He found the flank. Unfortunately, he was flanked by the enemy team. And now he's just, unfortunately, in the wrong spot.
Yeah.
He's pulling a sword.
He was waiting to dive into that Baron pit that Gen G were going to go for, but he wasn't watching the rest of this game, Papa Smithy. Gen G don't want a Baron buff. They want your Nexus.
And for Gen G, life has never been this good. Almost 100% kill participation in this game. It's just going to end, you'd have to think.
Yeah, well, Linderong's going to do his very best to try and work things out here. Goes into his stopwatch, but the Nexus turrets are going to get obliterated. He goes down as well as an afterthought. And Gen G win a game decisively. They don't even need a Baron, and they smashed Jin Air in game 1.
That was some Gen G League of Legends. They didn't do it perfectly. They still seem like a team not exactly sure on how to pull the trigger and win a game, but something to say about what kind of player Life is by the end of summer, and he definitely has his reputation enhanced by this game.
Yeah, and also enhanced by having a good AD carry down towards the bottom side, but it's just not often that he's the star, so really exciting to see that. As Cube did a hell of a lot of damage this game. His GP was like silently one of certainly the biggest impactors here this game. But I think that the engages that Life had were just so pivotal at the beginning of the series. I think Cube may feel a little bit robbed when it comes to the MVPs.
2 kills, 1 turret, otherwise a perfect game. Could have been cleaner, could have been faster, but 31 minutes in, Gen G take game number 1 victory, and Jin Air need to adjust their style for game number 2. The Vlad into GP didn't work, the Warrior Olaf didn't work. They were able to punish 1 mistake from Peanut in the bot lane, but otherwise, Gen G just kind of got everything together finally and got over the line.
And that was also still a 1-for-1 down towards the bottom side. They didn't lose any of the members of the bottom lane that was still able to put on all of that pressure with no support down there. So Jin Air still floundering here, but Gen G looking way better in game number 1 of their series. See whether they're going to be able to find some redemption after a rough week 1 in game number 2.